Hello and welcome. Welcome to my review. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this review of Spyderco that I've just bought. Well, not just bought, but one that I've bought, you know, over a week ago. And I've been carrying it every day, using it, testing it, things like that. So now I feel is the right time to do a review of this knife. This is the Spyderco Wayne Goddard Sprint Run 2013. Firstly, I'll just talk to you a little bit about sprint runs. Alright, I'm reading it from the little Spyderco sheet, okay, but basically Spyderco, they manufacture small batches of knives called sprint runs, okay, and they're limited in number. Sprint runs are short on release of an existing or discontinued knife made using an alternative blade steel, handle material or handle colour that has not yet been previously offered. Devotees of a particular knife model and collectors wait all year for sprint runs. It's true, Spyderco do make the small batches of sprint runs every year. That I believe, reading on the forums and things, they can make between 800 to 1200 a year. So I normally, when I say sprint run, I normally just round it down and up to about 1,000 a year, and sometimes it's as few as 400, I've heard. But anyway, I bought this one a week ago, and honestly, they sold out within 24 hours. Easily, so they're very popular anyway. I think there's a couple left of some other sprint runs, but the Super Blue got picked up really quickly as well. So I'm pleased I got that one, and I'm pleased I got this one. Very lucky and fortunate to buy those when I did. I'll talk to you about the knife then. So this is called the Wayne Goddard. It says here Wayne Goddard on there. Now, he's a master bladesmith. He's a custom knife maker who, well, Spyderco say he evokes admiration and notable respect in the cutlery industry. He's been making knives for more than 35 years, and he's collaborated several times on knife designs with Spyderco. And obviously this year, last year probably when they were making them, well, not making them, because this one was actually made last month, the little sticker on the box. But anyway, he's collaborated with Spyderco to make this sprint run. All right, it's a lightweight with an olive green FRN handle. Okay, I've got a bit of a snuffle, so you have to forgive me about that. But basically, this knife for me, when I first saw it in the catalogue, the colour was a little bit off. It looked a little bit grey. Hopefully, there's plenty of light here, so you can see how green it is. But it looked a little bit grey, and I didn't really fancy it that much. It just didn't take me. Like some knives I see the pictures of, and I think, yeah, definitely I've got to have that. And this one just didn't, you know. And it's only until I saw it on the shops, on the websites and things, that I started looking into it, and it's probably one of the reasons why you're watching this video as well. But it wasn't until I found Tyrone2447's video of it. He does a really good review. I'd definitely go and check that out as a bit of a shout out to him. But all due respect to him, that he's probably one of the reasons why I picked this knife up, because he gave it such a glowing review. There's a couple of things that I don't really agree on, just minutely. But overall, I'm very happy that I did pick it up, and I'm pleased that I gave it a second look, so to speak. Okay, 4 minutes in, we'll talk about the knives. Sorry, this is going to be a long one, just because I've got a lot to talk about this knife. I try and make the sprint run knife reviews a little bit more special, just because, you know, they're one of 1,000 really, aren't they? And they only come around once a year, and they'll never be produced again. So anyway, let's talk about the stats then. The overall length of this knife open is 8.8 inches or 22.5 centimeters. The cutting length, the blade length is 3.6 inches or 9.3 centimeters. The cutting length is 3.44 inches or 8.7 centimeters, and the weight is just under 3 ounces at 2.9 ounces or 82.4 grams. so it's pretty lightweight, actually, pretty lightweight. Now the handle scales, just previously mentioned, are olive green fiberglass reinforced nylon. Sorry about the sniffles. And as you can see, maybe you can see in there, there's nothing shiny going on. It's all handle scales, solid block. It's connected there. Solid block of FRN with nothing shiny in there. No scales, no skeletonized anything in there. It's just FRN, which everybody knows is very strong for what you're going to be using it for anyway. And it's just incredibly light on its own without any steel reinforcement. The texturing on the knife is their old style of texturing, which is the volcano grip. If you can see that it like raises up slightly, and then there's like a little pit in there, and that offers decent texturing. I wouldn't say it's as efficient as the bi-directional texturing that you get on the Endura 4s and the Delicas, but honestly, if this is wet or anything, that'll still give you plenty of grip. And just the design of the handle with the, I think they call it the fulcrum or whatnot, there it just slots into your hand anyway. So the grip on this knife is a little bit secondary and doesn't make that much of a difference. I know people, complete knife aficionados, would say, oh, they could have upgraded the texturing, but in my opinion, it's fine. It does the job, and it kind of goes. It goes with the colour. It really does. Anyway, so that's that. The mentioned about the no liners, and honestly, with the no liners there, you do barely feel it in your pocket. I've been carrying it for a week, and it just dissolves into your pocket. And for such a large knife, that's a very good positive. The pocket clip is a long hourglass pocket clip, black coated, similar to the coating on the Enduras and the Delicas. It's two-way reversible. I think they call it a male-female screw set with a lined hole to put a lanyard through. It's decent. It's long. It doesn't carry that deep in the pocket, but it's deep enough. And it's a full pin construction, and now another load of knife aficionados may well disagree why that was a good move as well, because it's full pin on the pivot, you see. But I've heard reports that full pin constructed FRN handles scale knives have lasted people 10-20 years, so I don't think that, again, I don't really think that's that much of an issue. As long as you're not going to put too much stress on them, I think they'll be fine. And it just keeps things simple. It just keeps things, no fuss. You could easily wash that out and use compressed air and things. I don't think there's just too much going on with those. Okay, the full pin construction is similar to their other sprint runs. The Calypso and the Cali 3 Super Blue are pin construction with the exception of the pivot screw. Okay, so deployment is with the Spidey hole, so you can slowly open that, absolutely fine, or you can, well, that didn't really work out, but neither did that, or that. Well, as you can see, it's difficult to flip it with the lockback because it's such a large blade, you see. And there's it's smooth, but it does jitter a little bit as it's opening, as the tension mounts on the lockback. Okay, I have lubed it up, but of course there's no way to change the blade centering and things, or get the blade a little bit looser because it's a pin construction. So that is what you get, and however tight that is that they've made it in the factory, that is what you have to live with, really. I would think it would get looser as time goes by, but I don't know about Tyrone's, but Tyrone's must be it must have just come a little bit looser. But I find it quicker and easier to flip out a an Endura, but that's just my thoughts on that. Anyway, the blade steel is VG10. See there, VG10. It's a decent blade steel. Okay, it is decent. It's obviously it's not up there with S30V and things, but that steel's harder and harder to sharpen. Whereas this, you can get this very, very sharp. If you've seen my unboxing for this, hopefully you have, you'll see that it's probably the sharpest Spyderco I've got out of the box, and that's saying something because obviously I've got some S30V Spydercos, and this was the sharpest one. So again, it's probably a good point to make with Spyderco, with their quality control and things, that they're getting better in terms of sharpening their knives, because honestly this thing it was just scary sharp out of the box, and I really like that. So the blade steel is VG10. A lot of VG10 knives are made in Seki-city, Japan. It might as well be called that. Get some very nice knives from there, and you can see the designer's name there, Wayne Goddard. And I do like the Japan-made knives. Okay, the profile of the blade shape is actually, they call it a sturdy drop point profile, and I really like the blade shape. I didn't at first, but then I've seen plenty of other knives with a similar kind of blade shape, and I really have warmed to it. I actually prefer it to this blade shape to the Delicas and the Enduras because of that belly. It's got a very nice belly. Yeah, it's got a fair straight line on the edge there, but then it's got this really nice belly and very useful point. It is slightly beveled on the top, if you call that beveled, or swedge on both sides, which is a nice feature, and not many people would pick that up, but it's just on that area of the blade there. And the thumb ramp doesn't have any jimping, but I don't think it would suit it. Your thumb nestles well there, and to use that thumb ramp anyway, your grip has to be quite forward on the knife also. It's probably better holding it there actually. The only downside to this, obviously, with this large area here around the pivot, the fulcrum, I believe, is actually that you can't choke up on it. That's the only downside of this knife. So you've got an area here of about an inch and a bit, where there's not much going on. You can't choke up with your finger and do fine work. I mean you could maybe, because that's quite large. So you could in a way, but then because of the length of that handle, there's only so much you can manipulate the knife with. But anyway, that's just a small point I'd like to make, because normally just holding it like that, you've got a large gap where it's a dead zone really. But anyway, that's just a small point. Okay, now I bought mine price-wise. I bought mine for about £95. Normally you could pick them up for about £100, and I think that's a very good price for a 2013 sprint run knife designed by this master bladesmith. I think that's a very decent price, considering that there's only about 1,000 in the world, and they're not going to make any more, and it's designed by this chap. And yeah, I think that's, considering that Spyderco Enduras 4s over here are about £67, £66, you're talking about 30 odd pounds more than a normal Endura for a sprint run. I think that's incredible value, and to be honest, that's the best. This is the best value Spyderco sprint run for 2013 out of the four anyway that I've seen. So £100 give or take, I think that's excellent value, and it's very comfortable. I think it's more comfortable than an Endura. Personally, I think the blade shape is more useful, and it's obviously lighter than an Endura. I'm never going to do a versus video, because it's a sprint run and not everybody will probably have the chance to get one. And I'd rather do a versus video on all knives that people have at least got the same chance of buying and things. But anyway, I will obviously compare it size-wise to those knives now. So this is the Wayne Goddard, and this will be a Spyderco. See what I mean? I opened that first time with the Endura, but the Goddard, well, I opened that first time, but that doesn't really count, and you have to add up the fails at the beginning. But anyway, let's look at this compared to the Endura. Now the Endura is overall longer, okay? The blade length is longer, but believe it or not, the cutting length is only a very, 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 very slight amount longer than the Endura. So in a way, this is kind of a more efficient knife because you've got a longer cutting length, only by 0.02 of an inch or whatnot, but still it is longer cutting length. And I find that the handle is more comfortable. And you look at the length of the handle, more or less, the Endura is a longer handle. And you can't choke. You can choke up more, but with the Endura, with this fulcrum, as Tyrone pointed out, I feel that because I've got large hands, I feel that these two fingers, I feel that this finger, because of the angle of that fulcrum there, I just feel that this finger is being squished, it's being pushed at too much of an angle, and it's a shame really, because there's so much area here, and yeah, you could move your fingers down a little bit and hold it there, but then it's a long way for your thumb to go on its own, if you see what I mean. Okay, but holding it with your two fingers there, it's definitely a little bit cramped. You don't get that problem with the Goddard because your fingers can move all the way along that handle scale, and if you could really, in theory, put your finger there to choke up. But I thought that might prove useful, comparing it to the Endura, because they're very, very similar. I'll show you the grips actually. So the Endura has the bidirectional grip, and the Goddard has the volcano grip. See the difference? This grip is much more efficient, and there's jimping along the FRN there. Okay, but I thought I'd show you the difference in the grips, if you're not familiar. I mean, that is just, there's a bit of friction, but the bidirectional really locks your thumb, your fingers in. And of course there's the Delica. This is just size purposes, obviously, and that's where it sits. It is smaller than an Endura, but the cutting edge is just very slightly longer, and it's lighter. So there it is next to the other FRN knives. I'll do a couple more comparisons. I've got two more sprint runs here. I've got a Spyderco Calypso and a Super Blue. Now the Calypso set you back about 150. The Super Blue is about 145, and yeah, the steel is excellent on the Super Blue, but the steel on the Calypso is still only VG10, and that's what, £50 more than the Goddard, just for this G10. Although you do get the changeable pivot screws, you see, whereas you don't get that on the Goddard. But the point I'm trying to make is that by far this is the best value sprint run for 2013, because £150 for VG10 and G10 scales is quite expensive, and the same for how small the Cali 3 is. Okay, so that's that size comparison. And finally, for people that don't have any of those other knives, we've got the Spyderco UK PK and the Tenacious. So it's longer than a Tenacious, obviously a lot lighter. Not as light as a UK PK, but come on, what is lighter than a UK PK? Anyway, I hope that helps with the size comparisons and things. I think it's an excellent knife, as I've probably repeated many times in this review. that I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me, and I'm very pleased I purchased it, and I'm very grateful to add it to my collection. And if you haven't already, I would go check out Tyrone 2447's review as well, to get another kind of knife reviewer's perspective on it. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your patience, and if you have liked this video, please do comment, rate and subscribe. It all helps, and take care.